Thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight. I'm Brandis Friedman. Here's what we're looking at. Officials in Broadview are calling out federal immigration agents who they say are putting residents and first responders in danger.
The last person that wants to shut down is us.
A potential government shutdown is just hours away as Republicans and Democrats are locked in a stalemate. And America's Test Kitchen hits the road for a national tour and makes a stop in our studio. First off tonight, advocates are calling for Illinois lawmakers to pass legislation protecting consumers from price spikes as electricity bills continue to soar.
The major reason we support SURGA is that it would lower our electric bills. An analysis by the Illinois Power Agency found that even under the most conservative estimates, the SURGA Act would reduce bills across Illinois. By 2035, annual savings would increase to a range of between $95 to $250 over the year for customers. Illinois faces a long road of rapidly escalating power bills if we don't act now.
The Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition and the Citizens Utility Board, among others, say Springfield legislators should take up the Clean and Reliable Grid Affordability Act, or SURGA, during the October veto session. The group says the bill would ensure the state has enough resources to meet energy demand and strengthen the power grid, as well as providing ratepayers access to tools to reduce energy bills, like rebates for weatherization or energy-efficient appliances. They believe savings for ComEd customers could reach up to $8.50 a month by the year 2035. Officials broke ground today on what will become a massive technology and innovation district on Chicago's South Side lakefront. But neighbors say they want to see more.
Since Related Midwest and their partners have received over $1 billion in taxes and resources, gotten tax breaks, and have gotten permit waivers, Southeast Side communities are looking for comparable investments on the Southeast Side.
The Illinois Quantum and Microelectrics Park occupies 128 acres of its and is the first phase of the 440-acre Quantum Shore Chicago. The facility will sit on the former U.S. Steel South Works site in South Chicago, and developers say it'll lay the groundwork for future development in quantum computing, technology, and healthcare. But the Coalition for South Works CBA says they want a community benefits agreement to ensure rising utilities, taxes, and rent don't price residents out of their homes. And the Chicago Cubs beat the San Diego Padres in the Northsiders' first postseason appearance since 2020. San Diego took a 1-0 lead in the second inning and held it until the fifth when Seiya Suzuki and Carson Kelly hit back-to-back solo homers. Final score 3-1 Cubs. This afternoon's game was the first in a best-of-3 wildcard series, with Game 2 tomorrow. Winner is set to take on the Milwaukee Brewers starting Saturday. Up next, the latest on pushback to a suburban immigration facility right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by the Alexandra and John Nichols family, the Jim and Kay Mabey family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
Leaders in West Suburban Broadview are saying federal immigration agents are putting their residents in danger. It comes amid ongoing protests outside an ICE facility there that led to 5 arrests over the weekend. And just yesterday, Governor J.B. Pritzker said the Trump administration was planning to deploy military troops to Illinois to protect ICE agents. Our Matt Masterson joins us now with the latest. Matt, what are local officials taking issue with?
They've raised a number of concerns, primarily with ICE's continued use of less lethal and chemical munitions against crowds of protesters outside this Broadview processing center. This has affected obviously not only the protesters, who are American citizens expressing their First Amendment rights to protest outside this facility, but officials have said this has also deeply affected police officers, first responders, ambulance staff who are working these scenes, who have also been affected by this tear gas, been forced to miss work. This is one of the main issues that these leaders have been raising about ICE's conduct there. But beyond that, the village has also raised concerns about fencing that the Broadview ICE agents have put up around this facility as a protection against protesters. They say this is blocking access to businesses in that area, and that if there were a fire or an emergency, fire personnel would not be able to access this. Mayor Katrina Thompson today also accused ICE officials of waging a disinformation campaign, saying that ICE officials have claimed Broadview police are not handling their calls for service about issues around the facility. They call that a complete lie. They've said that the police have only received a handful of calls for service from ICE agents, but that they have responded to each and every one of those as they would from anyone else.
So officials, they've also announced criminal investigations into ICE activity.
Yes.
Remind us what has sparked those investigations.
Yeah, police officials today said they have launched 3 separate criminal investigations into ICE activity. 2 of these involve hit-and-run investigations involving ICE vehicles and pedestrians outside. The third one, which has gained the most notoriety, involves a Chicago reporter from CBS who said her vehicle was targeted over the weekend by an ICE agent who fired a pepper ball, a chemical munition, at her when there were no protesters around, there was no one around, she was just driving in the area. ICE has denied that any reporter was attacked, that anything like this was happening, but police are investigating and looking further. Broadview police today said that they've been in communication with ICE about all 3 of these investigations, and that ICE actually has committed to cooperate with all 3 of these, but they are ongoing.
Okay, so Governor Pritzker yesterday saying the Trump administration is planning to deploy military troops in Illinois in order to support and protect ICE agents. Any update on where these soldiers might be deployed?
Pritzker didn't have any update when he spoke earlier today. It was 100 military troops he said that the Trump administration would be sending to Illinois under the protection of ICE. They want to protect ICE agents who are here. That's why they said they want to send these agents out, or these soldiers. That could mean that they're sent to Broadview or Chicago or elsewhere, but they haven't specifically said where they expect those to go yet. Trump did today say that he is planning on using so-called dangerous cities that he said, like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, as a potential training ground for military, so that if these soldiers are sent into these cities, they can practice. Pritzker called this an appalling notion. He said that Trump has a militarized obsession with cities like this, and that he compared this tactic to something from Russian President Vladimir Putin of sending armed military agents into a city, an American city, to handle or attack American citizens.
Okay. A lot going on. Matt Masterson on top of it for us. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Brandis.
And you can read Matt's full story on our website. It's all at WTTW.com/news. The Senate is voting now on a bill from Democrats that would keep the federal government funded and avoid a shutdown. Congress is up against the clock. It has to pass a deal by 11 o'clock Central tonight in order to keep the government running. If they don't, agencies could temporarily close and stop providing services, leaving thousands of federal employees furloughed. Joining us now are Congresswoman Lauren Underwood, a Democrat from Naperville, Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, a Democrat representing parts of Chicago's West Side, and Congressman Sean Casten, also a Democrat from Downers Grove. We should note that we did invite all 3 Illinois congressional Republicans, but they either declined or did not respond. Representatives, thanks to the 3 of you for joining us. Representative Casten, healthcare subsidies appear to be the main sticking point from Democrats on this. House Democrats introducing a bill to expand the Affordable Care Act benefits that are set to expire at the end of this year. But you've said that Republicans are refusing to negotiate. What would you like to have gotten out of this continuing resolution?
Well, first I want to clarify, we're not pushing to expand those tax credits. We're just pushing to make them permanent. Those tax credits have been out there for a long time. A lot of folks depend on them. And over the start of the Trump administration, we've seen a consistent pressure from the Republicans to cut people's health care. 13 million Americans are not going to have health insurance as a result of these policies. And we're at a point where for the Republicans to get this through the House and the Senate, they're going to have to work on a bipartisan basis. I don't think it's unreasonable to look out for the health of our constituents, and we're pushing to make sure that we get that through. And we're here in Washington, even as our Republican colleagues in the House are not, to try to make sure that we use every tool at our disposal to look out for the people we serve.
Representative Underwood, Republicans are proposing to pass the resolution. It would fund the government for 7 weeks. They're suggesting you use those 7 weeks to negotiate over the health care funding issues that you all have. Why not pass a CR now and then use that time to negotiate?
Well, beginning tomorrow, millions of Americans are going to be receiving notices from their health insurance company notifying them of massive premium increases because of Republican inaction. Now, you might remember, Brandis, that this summer, the Republicans passed their big ugly bill where they prioritized tax cuts for billionaires instead of extending these very popular healthcare tax credits. And that's what initiated this Republican healthcare crisis that we're in right now. So we are, as Democrats, working with a sense of urgency to protect our communities from these rising healthcare costs.
Okay. Would you, Representative Underwood, sorry, I'm going to come back to you. Would you trust the GOP if they said, you know, let's negotiate over it in these 7 weeks and that we can get something done when it comes time to take another vote on this?
Let's negotiate right now. We're in Washington, D.C. right now. We are ready and willing. We had a proposal that we, all of us, Congresswoman Ramirez, Congressman Caston, and I were on the floor of the House today, standing with our appropriations ranking member, Rosa DeLauro, asking for our bill to fund the government and to cancel these healthcare cuts to be made in order so that the House could reconvene and vote on it. We are ready to negotiate today, right now.
Representative Ramirez, you know, the last shutdown under the Trump administration was back in 2019, going on for 30+ days. How long do you think this one could last?
You know, that is the question of the day, and people keep asking, how long? Will it be a week? Will it be a month? We certainly would like for it not to be happening at all. I think that it's really important to really underscore what Congresswoman Underwood said. We are here right now. We can stop this shutdown from happening if members of Congress from the Republican Party would actually show up here and do their job. Every single day that the government is shut down is going to hurt the people who depend on these resources the most: veterans, elders, children. And so we hope that we can resolve this immediately. And instead of doing the political fundraiser they're doing here in DC, they should be in the Capitol. Instead of vacationing, they should be here. Every single member of Congress should be here right now, making sure we don't shut down. And if we do shut down, that we immediately do the work that we need to do, restore health care, address the issues of cost of living, and make sure we pass a spending budget that honors our commitment to our constituents.
Congressional leaders from both the House and the Senate met with the White House yesterday with President Trump. Republicans have called Democrats' requests, quote, ridiculous and unserious, claiming that you want to give health care, lots of it, millions and billions of dollars worth of health care to undocumented immigrants. Representative Caston, can you all get on the same page here? Is there some possibility for concession and compromise?
Look, there's a challenge when the other party is lying. Our Medicare, our Medicaid, our VA systems are pretty clear. You have to be a U.S. citizen to qualify for those. So what they're saying is just a lie. It is also hard when, you know, our leadership, Leader Jeffries, Leader Schumer went and met with the White House, and when they left the White House, the President of the United States apparently spent his evening making racist AI memes about Hakeem Jeffries. This is not a serious way to engage in negotiations. The stakes of this are so high. We're talking about healthcare, but let's keep in mind the National Flood Insurance Program doesn't have any money after tomorrow. FEMA's disaster relief program is out of money. If a disaster hits, how are we going to make sure that the government is there to do their job? I would submit to you that addressing that issue is a more important issue for Donald Trump and the Republicans to focus on than lying about who benefits from our healthcare system or just being openly racist on the internet. And I can't believe we have to see that.
Well, I was just going to pitch to a soundbite from President Trump from earlier today. Here's what he had to say, his reaction to the potential of a shutdown.
We don't want it to shut down because we have the greatest period of time ever. I told you, we have $17 trillion being invested. So the last person that wants it shut down is us. Now, with that being said, we can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
Representative Underwood, you know, could this shutdown lead to some long-term impacts, like more federal cuts to Medicaid and other programs?
Well, what I hear the president bragging about is breaking federal laws. And I am really concerned with the way that he treats our really patriotic, dedicated career civil servants with such carelessness and disrespect as they bring their expertise and their extraordinary commitment to public service each and every day, many of whom are deemed essential and will be working without pay. I'm talking about our air traffic controllers, just as an example. And so it's really just so callous to hear him make those remarks in that way. But certainly, we know that Donald Trump is someone who feels that he has no limits, and his authoritarian streak, I think, could put our communities at risk. But that happens every day of his presidency.
Representative Ramirez, what do you say to career government employees who might be furloughed or worse, lose their jobs entirely if the Republicans can pull that off? And more so, what do you say to the constituents who maybe depend on obviously on federal government services?
I would say to them that the President of the United States is using political retribution, retaliation against the very same people that have been protecting and providing resources to our veterans, to people who are in need of housing, to the constituents who depend on our government to be able to have life services. He wants you uninsured, he wants you unhoused, he wants you unemployed. But Democrats are going to be here ready to ensure that we restore healthcare, that we protect your resources, that we fight like hell for you, because what this president is doing is unlawful, it's unaccountable, and it needs to stop.
Representative Caston, what do you see as the long-term outlook for Democrats here? How is history going to judge you all? How are the voters judge Democrats in 2026?
So my general view every time we're in high stakes conversations like this is that those of us who have the privilege to hold public office, in the first instance, we need to make sure we get the policy right and then try to make sure that the politics follows. I think we make mistakes in moments like these if we ask ourselves what the politics is and hope that good policy will follow. I can't go to sleep at night. I can't look my daughter in the eye and say that I'm doing a good job if I allow all Americans to lose their health care. If I say that this institution that I love in Congress is going to fail to perform its obligation as a check and balance on the executive, and this is a time to fight for our Constitution, fight for the people we serve, and we're going to do that.
Okay, the clock is ticking, of course, we all know. My thanks to the three of you, Representatives Lauren Underwood, Delia Ramirez, and Sean Caston.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, a tasty conversation with the hosts of America's Test Kitchen. For more than 25 years, America's Test Kitchen has been a trusted resource where recipes are put through the wringer, gadgets are stress tested, and home cooks get the kind of reliable tips they can't find anywhere else. Now, ATK hosts are taking that experience on the road with a live tour that promises a behind-the-scenes look at how the Test Kitchen works. And they're also celebrating their latest project, a new cocktail book coming out in November. Joining us now are the co-hosts of America's Test Kitchen, Bridget Lancaster and Julia Collin-Davison. Welcome back. It's good to see you both.
Thank you. Great to be back.
We spoke about a year ago, just before Thanksgiving. So you all, ATK, of course, it's been a staple for home cooks for more than 25 years, but when it started 25 years ago, cable TV food was just still sort of burgeoning. Not everybody was sharing a recipe on social media like TikTok or Instagram. How is what you do different today?
I think it's the same as when we started. What we do is we show the process of the testing. So we like to say we make the mistakes so that you don't have to. By the time a recipe hits the magazine or the shows, it's been vetted so many times that we try to draw out as many potential mistakes that people might come across as they're making it at home and show them how to avoid that.
Yeah, and then when we publish our recipes, you can go on our app and actually ask questions. And the person who developed the recipe will answer your questions. So if you need to make a substitute, if you have a question about a method, or if you're making substitutes for dietary or allergy reasons, you can say what worked and didn't, and other readers can follow along. And so it makes a really nice community.
You know, talking about social media, you know, you two, you have, or in the show, ATK, the brand, it has its own very large social media following, over 9 900,000 followers on TikTok, 1.8 million on the gram, as I think the young people say. Julia, how have you managed to become sort of content creators as well as TV hosts?
Yeah, well, you have to stay abreast with sort of the Instagrams and the Facebook. And it's actually a fun medium because you can get little clips of recipes to get people interested. Or, you know, if it's a big recipe and there's one key technique that we learned, we can get that information across really quickly in a fun new way.
After so many years, you know, how do you keep the test kitchen fresh and curious and still inspiring viewers?
We're lucky. So we always have new faces coming in to work with us, and we're constantly learning from them. But the supermarkets have changed. There's a global market that you can get to through your internet.
Heard of it?
Yeah, heard of it. And you can buy just about anything out there. So I think people are more interested in learning new cuisines, new adventures, new experiences.
So now you're on the road. You're, you know, peeling back that curtain a little bit and exposing, you know, some of the behind the scenes, the secret sauce.
Yep.
What will audience see and experience at the live shows, Bridget?
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. Well, we've got a lot of interactive things that we're doing. We're going to be bringing some people up onto the stage to help us out in a couple places. But we're going to take them through what it takes to make a recipe and really show them why what we do is different from all the other food cooking shows.
What if somebody that you bring on stage doesn't know what they're doing?
Even better. Even better. Well, we didn't know what we were doing when we started off, and sometimes that's good to remind people that talking about food and actually cooking food at the same time is harder than it looks.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's not the skill level of the person, it's the equipment they're using. Yeah. And one of the tests is we're going to have people come up and use a peeler to peel a carrot. Somebody was on that stage is not going to be able to peel a carrot because the peeler is so bad. And so talking about equipment that works is a really interesting part of what we do, and it's kind of fun to get that across. It's not always your fault if the food doesn't turn out.
I'm going to use that next time. It's not my fault that the food didn't turn out. But to that point, you know, some ATK recipes, they can be intimidating to someone who is, you know, not quite so comfortable in the kitchen. What is your advice to those home cooks who want to take on some ATK recipes? Asking for a friend.
Yeah. Go onto our app. The app is an ATK app. Pretty much every recipe has a video, and we're now uploading a new style of video that takes you step by step with photos through the recipe, so we can cook alongside you. So we'll show you what to do and you can do it, and you can swipe and we'll show you the next step. And so there really is, you know, nowhere for you to fall off. It's absolutely foolproof. And again, you can ask questions.
Some good hand holding there.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So as we mentioned, you've been testing and perfecting recipes for 25 years, of course, but your next venture is complementary to the meals. It goes alongside them. This one is a recipe book of spirited as well as zero-proof mixed drinks called Cocktails Illustrated. See what they did there? Bridget, what made you all want to take on cocktails now?
Well, it was a natural progression from what we do. We had a cocktail book already, but we really wanted to explore it more. And we took the same point of view, really testing every avenue. But I think what's interesting is, as you mentioned, it's the zero-proof cocktails have really exploded on the scene. And we didn't just want to put together a fruit juice combination. So we had to examine what goes into, what is it that alcohol is actually adding? You've got body, you've got aroma, you've got flavor. So we've got some unexpected ways to add similar flavors in there, like lapsang souchong instead of like a mezcal.
Which is a black tea.
A black smoky tea, so you're going to have some of that. But yeah.
I hear it goes nicely with bourbon.
It does.
There you go.
What
you can use
doesn't?
that. What doesn't? What are some of your favorite cocktails to make for yourselves at home, Julia?
Oh, sangria. I love a good sangria. And I like the simple, like it is in our book. It's wine with just a few pieces of citrus, but it really enhances the wine. It doesn't cover it up.
I'm a gin and tonic girl all day. Love gin cocktails, so gin and tonic. Tom Collins is another one. In the summer, I can't get enough of.
Okay, good to know. Did you know, developing cocktails, did that push you out of your comfort zone at all? Like, because I mean, you deal so much with food.
Yeah, no, not at all. Because if you think about it, it's science. It is chemistry, and the chemistry of how alcohol mixes with water and how it dilutes and how you bring out flavors. That's our wheelhouse. So it was just fun playing with new ingredients, essentially.
Bridget?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a mixed bag for me. There was a lot that was unexpected in there. I think what I really appreciated, there are graphs that show you the right ratios for all the drinks. And I had been making drinks kind of higgledy-piggledy at home. So having these formulas and these ratios really helps me.
Okay, so Chicago audience is going to get to hear from you tonight. Tell me where you think Chicago sort of falls in the country's culinary scene. Any favorite places that you love to eat at when you're in Chicago?
It's at the top. I mean, there are some cutting edge restaurants in this city. Having said that, I'm really looking forward to a hot dog tonight. So
Classic hot dog.
I like the fancy restaurants, but I really love the local sandwiches, because when you visit a city, you get to talk to people if you go to a sandwich shop and eat the local food there. I much prefer that to the fancier restaurants.
Bridget?
Yeah, I would agree with Julia. I mean, there's a certain program on television right now that probably puts Chicago food on the map again.
Heard of it. Yep.
But it was already on the map. I mean, Chicago has some of the best foods ever, the ones that we know about and the ones that we're just discovering. So
Okay.
can't go wrong.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. Nobody's going to argue with you there. Good to have you both back in the studio. Enjoy this evening. Thank you so much for joining us, Bridget Lancaster and Julia Collin-Davison.
So nice to see you.
And of course, Bridget and Julia will be at Des Plaines Theater tonight at 7 for a live behind-the-scenes show. And their book, Cocktails Illustrated, comes out November 4th. Mark your calendar. And we're back right after this. And that's our show for this Tuesday night. Join us tomorrow night at 5:30 and 10. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that supports inclusionary excellence throughout the legal profession.